part of our basic checkmates. So we will try to do at least 100 of puzzles, 100 puzzles today. We will see how it goes. So mate in 1, white to move. If you have any questions, ideas, feel free to, also if you have any suggestions, please write into the comments. So white to move. Bishop f3, this is a checkmate. The bishop gives the check, covers d7, b7, one knight covers b8, other knight a7. Okay, let's go for this one. So white to move, mate in 1. What I suggest you, if you watch this as a video, then stop the video when I say white to move or mate in 1. Ah, Alex, good evening. And stop the video, find your solution, then click continue so you can check if it was right. So mate in 1, white to move. Queen g2 check, this gives the check, controls g5, g3, h3, f3, and the knight controls the other square. So this is why it's a checkmate. Let's go for the next one. Okay, white to move. This is a nice one. How are you today, Alex? And which city do you live in Transylvania? So knight f6 is giving the checkmate. You know, knight gives the check. Pawn controls e5, c5. King controls d4, e4. Knight also controls e4, and the rook controls the next squares to prevent the king to run away. Near Sibiu. Unfortunately, I don't know where it is. I was, I think, in some bigger cities in Transylvania. How they call it? Satemaru. I think Satemaru. I was in Satemaru. Okay, let's go for the next one. Okay, white to move. Again, mate in 1. This is a nice one. How to give a checkmate here. Very special checkmate, actually. Yeah, if you know the solution, just feel free to write also in the chat. There's an interesting question in the chat. I am curious to know if you would be a championship contender playing for the World Chess Championship, who would play your ceremonial first move? Oh, okay, that's interesting. Actually, my daughter got in my mind first. If she could make the move, that I would be really happy. Who would be your your one? So g8 is the solution. This is a discovered check and the double check in the same time. So both knight and rook gives the check. This is important because other way, this is also called under promotion. So we did not get a queen because other way the knight would just capture the rook. But now because it's a double check, it cannot. Okay, pawns are controlling the other squares. Discover d7 s7 covered by the rook, and the king covers the other squares. So this is why it's a checkmate. Okay, how old is your daughter? Let's see, next one, white to move, mate in 1. Okay, the queen gives the check, also covers those squares. Actually all the squares, and the bishop defends the queen, that's important. So this is why it's a checkmate. Let's go for the next one, mate in 1, white to move. Okay, this is a simple one. Pawn moves, d7 gives the checkmate. Check. King covers the pawns and f7 square. The other pawn covers d8, f8. This is why it's a checkmate. Let's go for the next one. Ooh, another beautiful. Wow, this is a beautiful geometry actually. So mate in 1, white to move. Mate in 1, white to move. How would you give the checkmate here? Okay, b7. This is the nice one. This is a check. Other pawn covers it and the knights are blocking the king. So this is why it's a checkmate. Here we are again. White to move. Mate in 1. What's your current level, Alex? Do you play like maybe online you can write? So what's your rating if you play rated games? Okay, queen e4, this is the checkmate. It gives the check, covers the squares, bishop covers those squares, the king covers the other squares. So this is why it's and the king defends the bishop. Here we are. Nice, nice geometry. Let's go for the next one. Okay, mate in 1 again, white to move. Ah, wow, 1890. Okay, so I think we are pretty good actually. I think the average player who plays online, if I heard some statistics, is like around 1200 or something like that. Okay, so queen g8 check. Okay, this is a nice checkmate actually, I think. Queen covers the square, those squares, bishop cover this square. Also the queen defends the bishop, that's important, and the knight covers the other two squares. Here we are, this is a checkmate. Let's go for the next one, white to move. Hello Abba Arcade, nice to see you here. White to move and checkmate in 1 move. Wow, we met long time ago, looks like, Kate. I just looking the history, we met like 1 year ago actually, and then yeah, then it's a little more before I think you joined our stream. How is your life? How is your chess and other stuff? Where are you from? Ah, from Brazil, wow. Wow, wow, looks like we have some really good players today. Yeah, queen e5 is the move. Okay, wonderful. So this is the checkmate. Queen covers those squares, pawn cover those squares, king cover, defends the pawn and this one. This is why this is a checkmate. Okay, so let's go for the next one. Oh, these are beautiful checkmates. So white to move, mate in 1. Okay, queen covers those squares plus 1 more. The knights covers this one, the pawn cover the knights. This is why it's a checkmate. Okay, let's go for the next one. Okay, this is not a typical checkmate with the bishop and the knight. Normally when it's a forced way to give the checkmate, then what you do is, you normally you give the checkmate on the bishop color in that corner. If you want, here are the few ways to connect with me. I just sent out the links from chess.com. You can connect also on Twitter, on Facebook, or on YouTube. Yeah, knight c7 is the checkmate. Knight covers, the queen covers these squares, and the bishop covers the escape square on a7. I think it's good to review the basics time to time, even for strong players. For this year, I decided to again playing in tournaments for going for the International Grandmaster title, and I am starting from the very basics, so I just over reviewing the basic checkmates. I plan to do that for the next couple of sessions, probably for a month or two, or I don't know. We will see how long it will take. So I have like a. Let me check you. There's a book. I think I have a link for that one. Yeah, this is called Chess 5334 Problems, Combinations, and Games. There's a lot of checkmate puzzles. I try to solve all of those puzzles actually, and showing you the solutions here. Okay, so here we are. White to move again. Yeah, knight b6 is the checkmate. Knights are covering and the pawn works together. Okay, let's go for the next one. Oh, this is a beautiful one. White to move. It's a nice example how pawns and knight can work together. When they are in the same color, you know, they can make kind of like a, you know, pawns are covering the light squares and the knight is covering the dark squares. Yeah, this is I think a nice one. Let's go for the next one. Ah, okay, here again. Now 2 knights and 1 pawn. Mate in 1, white to move. Yeah, pawn gives the checkmate, knight covers the pawn, and that other knight covers the escape squares. Okay, so actually we already solved 64 puzzles yesterday. The first day I solved 50 puzzles, and today already 14. So 64 puzzles, like how many squares on the chessboard. So now let's move to the second chessboard. So this is number 65 will be. Okay, mate in 1, white to move. Another nice, lovely checkmate ideas with the 2 knights. Yeah, knight b6. Again, knights are working really nice when they are in side by side, covering many squares. Okay, this is a checkmate everybody should know. White to move, mate in 1. Who knows the name of this checkmate? Please, yeah, already wrote. Yes, smothered mate. Yeah, this is important. When the king has no square to move, covered all around by his pieces, and the knight is the check, and yeah, this is just a beautiful checkmate. It's called a smothered mate. Okay, let's move for the next one. Ah, okay, another nice kind of mate. So white to move, mate in 1. This is actually with a discovered check. This is called a discovered check when a piece covered, so the rook covers this bishop, and when it moves, then it opens up the scope. So the bishop gives the checkmate, covers g7, other bishop covers g8, plus this rook is important to protect the bishop, so and covering the 8-7 square. Okay, let's go for the next one. Okay, so it looks like here, okay, again, mate in 1, white to move. Wow, this is, in an endgame it would be nice to finish the game like this. This is a very special way when you can give a checkmate actually with the king move. Yeah, king s, okay, another discovered check. So actually the bishop gives the checkmate, but it's a king move which opens up the way for the bishop. Yeah, that's interesting, notating that on the paper. Yeah, king f7 checkmate. Wow. How is that possible? Yeah, but this is the way. Okay, let's go for the next one. Okay, this will be nice. I hope you like this one. Actually, again, a discovered check, plus it's also double attack in the same time. Yeah, this needed this rook move to cover the g5 square, so he cannot run away. Yeah, and the bishop covers this one. Okay. Ah, yeah, and this one actually we looked already. Bishop f3, I think. This was the first one which we looked. Okay, so let me get a few new puzzles actually to set up here. Do you have any favorite puzzle book actually which you work through from the beginning to the end? This is a good. What do you have any? Because you know this book actually, this is this big. I studied it several times, started and stopped after maybe 1,000 puzzles, 1,500, but I think it has around like 5,000 puzzles actually, or 4,000 something. This would be a really big achievement, I think, to solve all of those. So here we are. Yeah, it starts to be actually warm here. So mate in 1, white to move. Actually, another discovered check. It's actually both are fine. Actually, I think this also works. The important thing is to cover the g4 square with the knight, because the bishops are covering the other squares, plus the king was so helping. Ah, yeah, the woodpecker method. Actually, I think that's also a plan for me to work through all of those. And the Maxim blog book, which I worked when I was a kid. Okay, so let's go for the next one. White to move, mate in 1. Ah, yeah, I think John Nunn has also like more than one wood puzzle books. Another special checkmate of the knight and the bishop. It's covered by the knight, the king covers those squares, and the bishop covers and gives the checkmate. You know, once I had an experience around 20 years ago. I did nothing else but checkmate in two puzzles from the Polgar book, and for like 2 weeks. And what I did like 1 or 2 hours of puzzles. Those are hard puzzles. You will see these are easy, but the checkmate in two will be harder, much harder. And then I played 1 hour of blitz games. And what happened in like in 2 or 3 weeks, I'm not the exact number, I don't remember. I gained like 200 rating points, and already my rating that time I played on ICC, the Internet Chess Club, was like 2600. So I was already pretty good. Also I was 20 years younger, so I was international master, relatively strong one. And then I gained like 200 points from there. From 2600 I went to 2800 and started to win games again against grandmasters. So that happened when doing consistently calculation exercise and simply checkmate, so nothing else, not like combinations with winning material or not any other studies, just by calculating and being able to see quicker different options. Okay, so white to move, checkmate in one. This is the nice motif how you give the checkmate with the knight, king and rook. Okay, this is an important to remember. The knight covers the two sides. The rook gives the checkmate, the king defends the rook, and the rook covers also the other two square. Okay, let's go for the next one. Yeah, if you like to do these puzzles and you enjoy the show and would like to support, then please consider to subscribing. You can use the link in the chat. Okay, mate in one, white to move. Okay, again, the knight and the rook together. This is an important checkmate motif. The knight actually blocks the king off and defends the rook in the same time. The rook gives the check, plus also covers another escape route. Okay, white to move, mate in one. Actually, I think this is similar, but from the another angle. Again, rook gives the check, the knight covers this escape route, defends the rook. The rook gives the check, covers g7. Next one. Ooh, oh my god, this starts to be, looks complicated a little bit, but not that much. Okay, white to move, mate in one. Okay, so the rook gives the check, also defends the knight at the same time. Okay, this knight covers f5, the other knight covers f4. The knights are defending each other, plus this pawn is also necessary to cover those squares. So this is how it's a checkmate. Let's go for next. Oh, this is nice. So it looks like these are with the knights and the rooks together. White to move, mate in one. Okay, rook captures the pawn, gives the check, defends the knight in the same time. It's important, the other knight defends the rook. Rook covers also f7, so it cannot go out. And the other rook covers the knight, so it cannot be captured, plus covers d5, e5. This knight covers d6, the other knight covers f6. Wow, what a cooperation of the... This is so interesting. How can, the rooks and knights protecting each other? Wow. So it's kind of like a circus, so everything is protected. Kind of harmony, yeah. Yeah, nice to see this is possible, actually. Okay, let's go for the next one. Another nice geometry, white to move, mate in one. It's kind of like a cross. Oh. Yeah, gives the check, covers those squares. Knight covers c5, e5, the pawn covers c3, e3. Okay, nice geometry. Let's move on for the next one. Ooh, another nice one. White to move. How to work together with the bishops, with the rook. White to move, mate in 1. Yeah, bishop f1. This gives the covers actually e2, gives the check and defends the rook also. The rook defends the other squares. Here. Okay, and we need the other bishop to cover the dark squares d2 and e3. Let's go for the next one. Again, white to move, another nice geometry. Mate in 1. Bishop f5. So this gives the check, plus defends the rook. The rook covers the two sides, and the pawns also covering squares. This is how it's a checkmate. Wow, nice one. Let's move on. Okay, few different ways the same motif looks like. White to move, mate in 1. Okay, so again, you need to check the rook covers the squares. The difference is now his own piece is blocking the king, so there's no bishop or pawns needed like in the other one, but now it's the own piece is blocking it. Okay, one more. Okay, looks like we have a few more version of this one. Mate in 1, white to move. And you know, and when your brain is kind of burns in this kind of motifs, then when you get in a game, maybe you immediately can recognize this possibility. Again, check and defending the rook. Rook covers squares. Also the pawns are covering one square, the other pawn defending the d5 defense c6. Okay, let's move on for the next one. Okay, one more way to do that. Okay. So, mate in 1, white to move. Okay. Again, the bishop gives the check. Covers f7, defends the rook. The rook prevents the king to go to those squares, and the pawns are blocking the king. Okay, let's see if there's a... okay, this was the last one from this kind of. Okay, now let's look how two knights and the rook can work together. Yeah, have a nice meal. Thank you for joining us, Kate. So white to move, mate in 1. Yeah, dear viewers, feel free to write your solutions or questions in the chat, or if you're watching this video, in the comments. So mate in 1, white to move. Okay, rook is the check. It's kind of like a back rank checkmate. We can say this is the back rank of the black. And actually the knights are covering the squares front of the king, and the rook is giving the check and controls also the squares near the king on the 8th rank. Okay, let's see how this may happen, something similar. Okay, now white to move. Actually this is a little different. Mate in 1. Okay, queen h6. Gives the check, covers f6, covers g7, g5, h5. Okay, and the rook covers h7 plus defends the queen. This is why this is the checkmate. Working together, plus the pawns blocking the king. Let's look the next one. Oh la la, white to move. Mate in 1. It shows the cooperation of the king and the queen. Yeah, the king defends the queen. The queen gives the check plus covers d7, f6, f7, e5 and d5, and the pawns blocking their own king. Let's do the next one. Okay, again, mate in 1, white to move. Okay, so what would you do here? How to give a checkmate? Queen f7, yeah, the queen gives the check, covers f5, e6, g6, g7, e7, plus the bishop defends the queen, so it cannot be captured. Okay, next one, white to move, mate in 1. If you are watching this as a video, you can always stop the video when I say white to move, try to find the solution yourself and then click continue to see the solution. Or if you are watching as a live stream, then you can just type in your solution if you want. Or if you have any questions, you can also type that in. So queen e6, this is a checkmate, this is a nice one actually. The queen gives the check, also defends e3, covers f5, d5, and the pawns are also important, so they cover d4, f4, and f3, d3. This is how it's a checkmate. Okay, now different type of checkmates. So how the two rooks are giving the checkmate. This is important to know when you are starting out chess. So how to be able to give a checkmate. White to move. Okay, rook b8. So one of the rooks cover all the squares on this rank and the other covers all the squares on the other rank. This is how they just cover all the possibilities and giving the checkmate. Okay, let's see one more from this one. Okay, this is a little bit similar. How to work together with two bishop and the rook. So white to move and mate in 1. White to move and mate in 1. Okay, the rook. Again, this is again a back rank checkmate. The bishops are covering the squares front of the king and the rook is covering the finer rank to give the check plus preventing the escape. This is a checkmate. Okay, so let's get some new positions. Okay, so here we are. This is the first one. This is a nice one actually. Look at nice geometry, how working together with the queen with the knights. So white to move, mate in 1. queen f3. Yeah, the queen gives the check, also covers d5 and f5. Actually, those are the most important. King defends the queen, so those squares are controlled. And you can see the queen covers the light squares. Also, it defends the knight. That's also important. Defends the knight. And the knights covers the dark squares because they control the opposite color when they stand. So if they stand on light square, they cover dark squares. So, but they are working perfectly together. This is how it's a checkmate. Okay, let's go for the next one. Wow, another nice geometry. White to move. Mate in 1. Okay, queen f3 actually again good. Gives the check, covers f5, covers d5, covers f5, e3 and d3. King defends the queen, plus again the knights, as you see, cover the dark squares. e5 and d4. Beautiful checkmate. Wow, what a geometry. Symmetry. Okay, now it's a little different cup of tea, different type of checkmate. White to move, mate in 1. Queen gives the checkmate because the queen gives the check, covers e6, covers f7, covers d7. The rook is important to defend the queen, covering also d8, f8, and the e5 pawn covers the dark squares. So no way to run out. It's a checkmate. Let's go for the next one. Oh la la. It looks like a little bit similar, a little bit different ways. Now white has 2 pawns instead of 1. So white to move, mate in 1. Queen e8 again makes the deal. Queen gives the check, covers e6, d7 and f7. The rook defends the f8 square. The queen plus d8 is covered by the queen. And those 2 squares are covered by the 2 pawns, d6 and f6. Okay, let's go for the next one. White to move, mate in 1. Okay, queen e5 check. Again, looks like covering many of the dark squares. Okay, the king needs to defend the queen, so to be good. And the pawns covering the light squares on d7, plus on c6, defended by the other pawn. Okay, let's go for the next one. Okay, now we have a little bit different kind of material distribution. Black also has some pawns. White to move. And mate in 1. Okay, queen g1. Queen g5 is a checkmate. Queen gives the check, covers g7, f6, h6, h5, f5. So many squares controlled by the queen. And it's important the h4 pawn defends the queen on the g5 square, plus the black pawn is actually blocking their own king. Let's go for the next one. Okay, white to move, mate in 1. Okay, how to work together with the knights. Queen f1, actually this gives the checkmate. It's a check, covers also d3, covers f2 square and f3. Okay, yeah, these are the most important ones. The knight defends the queen, so that's important. Plus the other knight covers e3 and e1. And the king is important to defend the d2 knight plus the d1 square. Wow, nice checkmate. Let's go for the next one. Ooh, what a geometry again. Wow. White to move. Wow, so beautiful. So a few things in chess can be, well, very simple things can be so nice. People time to time ask what is nice in chess or what's interesting in chess, but actually geometry, the harmony between the pieces, and kind of the balance sometimes. So here, white to move, mate in 1. Okay, this is a check, so the queen gives a check, plus covers d3 and f5. And here comes the knights. Knights, these are light squares, the knights are covering the dark squares. e5, d4, e3, f4. Plus both knights are defended by another piece. The pawn defends the f3 knight and the king defends the d5 knight. Wow, nice. Not? What do you think? Okay, let's see the next one. Ooh, wow. Wow, 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 wow. Okay, white to move, mate in 1. This is something really amazing, no? Queen a8 check. Queen covers the f3 square, gives the check and covers d5. The knights these are light squares, the knights covering the dark squares, f4, e5 and e3 and d4. And their own, so black's own knights are blocking the king. Wow. Yeah, this is harmony. So beautiful. Wow. Oh, this is something to, we can maybe save this one. Yeah, this is beautiful. Okay, so let's go for the next one. The next one will be actually number 100. We are doing, yesterday I sold 50 puzzles, now this is number 100, so at least the same number I sold, but I plan to do actually today at least 100. So white to move, mate in 1. Oh la la, this is the checkmate. Queen gives the check, plus covers e4, plus f2 and d2. The king needs to defend the queen. The queen also defends the knights, which is important, and the knights covering f4 and d4. And this is a beautiful checkmate. Okay, let's see what is 101. Okay, we continue to work together, the 2 knights and the queen. Okay, white to move, mate in 1. Okay, queen e2 gives the checkmate, I think, again. Kind of similar like the last example, but the knight moved from f3 to b5. I think that's the difference. The queen covers e4, e3, f3, d2, d3, f2. The king defends the queen. b5 knight covers d4, and d3 knight covers f4. This is why it's how it's a checkmate. Let's go for the next one. Wow. Okay. White to move, mate in 1. Queen f3 is the checkmate. Okay, the queen gives the check, plus covering f5, and d5, f4, e3, and d3 defends the knight. Okay, the king defends the queen, that's important, so it cannot be captured. Plus we have the dark squares, which covered by the knights. Let's go for the next one. Okay, now it's changing a little bit. Now we have only one knight compared to we had two knights in the previous ones. So white to move. Okay, this is a check. So queen covers e8, d7 and c7. The king defends the queen. Plus we have one more square to cover, which covered by the knight e7. Okay, let's go for the next one. Okay, white to move, mate in 1. Queen d5, this gives the checkmate. Queen covers many squares, gives the check, plus covering f7, e5 and f5, d6 and d7. The king protects the queen, that's important, and the knight covers the dark squares on f6 and on e7. This is how it's a checkmate. Let's go for the next one. Okay, now it's changed the things. Looks like the king is now our white to move again. Our king is a little bit far away, so we need to work together the queen and the two knights. Okay, queen d6 is necessary. The queen gives the check, plus covers f4. This is important to cover the f4 square. Covers also e6 and f6, plus d5 and d4. Yeah, and f5 square covered by the e3 knight. Plus they are protecting each other. The queen is protected by the other knight, so it's important. They are protecting each other and covering all the squares. Let's go for the next one. So we still continue with the queen and two knights against the king. White to move, mate in 1. How would you give the checkmate here? So again, queen f1 gives the checkmate. Queen covers the squares on the f5, f2, f3, f4. Also e2, so we cannot go out. And this e3 knight protected by the f5 knight, that's important. And he covers f g4, g2, and f5 covers the g3 square. Let's go for the next one. Okay, another one with the two knights and the queen. White to move, mate in 1. How to give the checkmate? So the checkmate is this one, queen h6. Queen covers f4, g6, f7, g6, f6. So h5, h4. The knight on f5 covers, defends the queen, that's important. And that knight is defended by the other knight. Plus it covers also the g4 square, so no way to go out. Okay, let's go here. White to move, mate in 1 again. Still the team of queen and 2 knights against the king. Queen f1 gives the checkmate. The queen gives the check, covers f3, also covers e2, e1, g1, g2. Okay, the knight on e3 defends the f1 queen, that's important, and the other knight covers and defends the knight on e3, plus covers the g3 square. Okay, let's move on for the next one. Okay, now we move on for a different type of checkmates. This is also good to know. Okay, white to move and mate in 1. Okay, the queen gives the checkmate. It also covers g7 and gives the check. Plus, it's an interesting combination when the bishop and the pawn defending each other. So the h7 pawn defends the bishop and the bishop defends the h7 pawn. So no way for black to capture or run out, or run away. Okay, next one. Okay, the 2 knights and the queen working together. Hello Pandini, nice to see you. How are you today? So we are continue to do some puzzles, some checkmate. I don't know if you yesterday you were here, but I started a new series yesterday. I decided to go again for the Grandmaster title and go from the basics. So review the basic checkmates. Plus there is this book. Have a wonderful new year. It's called this Polgár book, this big book of checkmate puzzles. I want to solve it. Actually, several times in my life I started to solve it, but always I stopped. And I decided now let's make another shot. So here white to move and checkmate in 1 move. Okay, these are kind of, probably for you it will be very easy. But I think it's good to review the basics time to time. So white to move, queen h8 is the checkmate. It's kind of like a backrange checkmate. Covers e8, d8, c8, and the knights working nicely together when they are stand side by side. So they are covering all these squares. Yeah, this is a big book. Actually, it has even more, like I think like 4,000 something the checkmate puzzles, and there are some games later also. So you have it. So how did you solve all of them? Yeah, László Polgár. Yeah, that's it. So this is the checkmate, and let's get some new ones because we solved so we already solved 110 yesterday, 50, and today already we solved 60 puzzles, and I want to solve at least 40 more for today. Let me add a few more. Once I made an experience, I did like puzzles only from that, like for 2 weeks, 1 hour, 1 or 2 hours, and 1 hour playing blitz chess, and I gained like 218 points from when I was already a very high level, so I started to beat grandmasters. So it has really a good effect. Okay, so let's go from here. So we continue to do the same stuff. 2 knights and the queen against the king. White to move, mate in 1. Okay, the queen covers the back rank and the knights covering the squares front of the king. This is a checkmate. Okay, if the king moves to f8 from e8, how to make, what's the difference? So white to move. Actually, the move is the same. Difference is now the queen covering this g7 square, so you cannot go out. Gives the check also. Plus now the knight's covering 2 squares instead of 3. So this is also a checkmate. Okay, no. So now we change the team with 1 knight and the queen working together with the help of the king. So white to move, mate in 1. If you have any questions, ideas, feel free to write. Also, if you enjoyed the show, you liked and would like to support the channel, please consider to subscribe. You can use this link. So white to move. Queen c4, this is a checkmate. Gives the check, covering also b5, d5, plus covering c6. And we need the help of the king, which covers and defends the queen, also defends b4 and d4 squares, and the knight covers the dark squares on b6 and d6. Okay, let's go for the next one. Oh la la, now we have again 2 knights. White to move, this is nice geometry. Mate in 1. Queen f3. This gives the check, plus covers f4 and f6 on the f5, also covers e4 and g4. And you see the knights, how nicely they are working together when they are side by side. So this knight covers e5 and g5, and the other knight covers e6 and g6. Harmony. Okay, now we left the knights and now working together with the bishop, queen and king. White to move. So what to do here? How to give the checkmate? Okay, queen d8. Yeah, this is the checkmate. The queen covers f8 and e7 and attacks the king. The king defends the queen, that's important to cover d8, and the bishop works together by covering f7 and d7. This is a checkmate. Let's go for the next one. Okay, white to move. Wow, this is a nice one. Another geometry. Beauty of the geometry and harmony in chess. White to move. Yeah, queen e4 covers e5 and gives the check, plus defends the e7 bishop, it's important. So the queen covers d5, f5, and the bishops working also nicely together when they are side by side. Dark square bishop covers d6, f6, and the light square bishop covers d7, f7. Makes the checkmate. Okay, let's go for the next one. White to move, mate in 1. Okay, queen d1. Yeah, Pontini said queen is after the problem with queen e3. Actually, the queen cannot go to e3 from a4. That's the first problem. But even if it could go there, then this square would be available for the king. That's why we need queen d1 to cover, give it a check, cover f3, e1 and f1. Also covering d2 and d3. Okay, the king needs to defend the queen, plus this dark square bishop is also useful, covering f2 and e3 squares. Yeah, beautiful checkmate. Let's move on for the next one. Ah, okay, this is a nice one. So white to move. This is a checkmate motif. When the queen and the bishop together at their own, they can give a checkmate for the king. So white to move, mate in 1. So maybe you have some ideas here how to give the checkmate. Yeah, the bishop is the checkmate. Bishop f8, yeah. So queen covering light squares plus g5 and h5, and the bishop covers the dark square g7 and the queen, and gives the check, which is actually the checkmate, yeah. Okay, let's move on for the next one. Again, we are working together, queen and bishop, mate in 1, white to move. Okay, queen e5 gives the check, also covers g7, so you cannot run away that way. Covers e6, e7, f5, g5. King defends the queen, so that's why it cannot be captured. And again, this nice idea of when the bishop and the pawn protecting each other, so they cannot be captured. They are covering important squares. Oh la la, this is a nice one, man. This is a very rare checkmate motif, but when two bishops and the queen also, they all work together and covering the diagonals. This is a little bit similar like when the two rooks gives the checkmate. So white to move, mate in 1. Yeah, bishop d4. And you see what happens. This bishop covers g7 and gives the checkmate, and this bishop covers h7 and the queen g8. So they are kind of like all together working and firing. So it's need to cover actually 3 diagonals. When you want to give a checkmate on the diagonals, you need to cover actually even more diagonals you need to cover. Because if the king would do something like f6, then he could still go out. Wow. If you just wants to make on the diagonals, that's just so many diagonals. You know, like 5 diagonals need to be covered. Wow. That's even not possible. Or not enough pieces for just to make with the diagonal on the diagonals. Okay, so this is chord covered. It's a checkmate. Okay, let's move the next one. So we already solved now 120 puzzles. We looked 120 different ways to checkmate. Let's go. Okay, this is even a little different now. The rook and the queen working together. Okay, Pandini. We will see each other soon. So mate in 1, white to move. Queen e6 check. It's a checkmate. So queen gives the check, plus covering the 7th rank on f7 and d7, covers also d6 and f6. King defends the queen, and 8th rank is covered by the rook. d8, e8 and f8. Okay, next one. Yeah, white to move, mate in 1. Yeah, e6. Actually, it works for this puzzle, your solution. Queen e6. Queen gives the check, and it's also important, it defends the rook. Also covers e7, e8, f6 and g6. Plus the rook covers f8 and g7. That's plus important, the king needs to defend the queen. So this all together, so the 3 pieces needed to work together to give the checkmate. Let's move for the next one. Here we are. Okay, now black got a few pieces. So white to move, mate in 1. Ah, I see, but you are still pretty quick actually. So white to move. Queen e5. They are working together very well. It's like shows a little bit like love for each other. So it's the most important thing in life to love each other. As you see, the white pieces are kind of working together perfectly. The queen is protected by the king. Also the rook is protected by the king and by the queen. Okay, f5 square covered by the queen. Also it gives the check. Cover e6, e7 covered by him. Also g7 covered by both the queen and the rook, plus the rook covers g6. So this is, and this blocks the king. So this is a nice one. Let's go for the next one. Okay, white to move, mate in 1. Look what a nice checkmate. The queen gives actually the check, plus covering e6 and defending the rook. It is important we defend because the rook is covering c7, c6, d8 and e8. And the pawn has also a row to cover d6 and d7. Okay, the next one. Okay, actually, white to move. Yeah, if I know any of the names, I will tell. Yeah, it's a, actually that's what I was saying. Maybe I should also make one videos about those, the different checkmates and the names of the different checkmates. Because once I read in a book, like there are like maybe like 20 or 30 different kind of checkmates which already they have like a name. So white to move here. Actually queen g4 again, the winning move. Okay, the queen covers e6, gives the check, plus defends the rook. The rook covers c7 and c6, d8 and e8. Plus this rook is necessary to, she's pinning the pawn, so the pawn cannot go forward because then it would be a check. Otherwise e6 would be a defending move, but it's not possible because it's pinned. The king cannot move because of the other pawn. Okay, another one. White to move. So how to give a checkmate? Checkmate in just one move. You can give a checkmate in one move. Oh, we have another question in the chat. Imagine you have written a chess book and 200 years from now a young kid is going through its pages. What is the last sentence in your book? Wow, good question. So what is the last sentence? Yeah, I think the most important sentence is love each other. You know, if your piece is also loving each other, they are working together, they try to help each other, that gives you the best result. So that's actually true in all areas of life. You know, cooperate and love each other, help each other. That's the way to grow and have harmony and have joy and pleasure and have health. Yeah, I heard about Tom Campbell. I think like he wrote a book about the hero, the road of the hero. Wow, that's very interesting synchronicity. You heard about the same thing today morning from him. Wow. Okay, so white to move here. Queen e5 is the checkmate. It checks the king, covers e7, f6, d6. Okay, the king defends the queen, plus also covers d5, f5, and the bishop covers the other squares, d7 and f7. So there are two different Tom Campbell. Okay, maybe I don't remember well the names, or just this got my idea. Or Hero's Journey, actually, that's what it's called. Joseph Campbell, actually. Sorry, that's a different stuff. So I was remembering it's Joseph Campbell, The Hero with a Thousand Faces. Actually, that's a book which is something I think it's really something to read for everybody. This is the link if you want to check. This is the Wikipedia link, and probably you can look also the book, but this is makes some important aspects. Wow, another good question. Which rules of chess are you also applying in life? Actually, I think the one other really important rule is sacrifice. So many times we need to sacrifice something for a bigger good. And most of the time those sacrifices, like the sacrifice of our selfishness for our higher self, which is like all others are the mirror of our higher self, or everybody has inside it's the higher self. So when we are making sacrifices, actually we are making sacrifice of our lower self for the higher self. And this is what in chess also you need to do. Sometimes you give up a pawn or a queen even. Sometimes your biggest asset, like a queen, you sacrifice for giving the checkmate, or some other important thing which makes your journey continue. Okay, so let's see what's going on here. So this is the check. Let's me load the next one. Oh, this actually, look. Oh, this has a name actually. Maybe you know, Pandit, what's the name of this? This is a checkmate which has a real name. Ah, okay, I really need to make some videos or some kind of collection of different checkmates. You gave me an idea for some next sessions. And actually it's like a uniform, like an army uniform. Actually it has the name or something like this, with like the two shoulders. I don't know how it's called, but because this rook's blocking the king. Yeah, white to move mate in one. So this is the checkmate actually. Actually without the rooks it would be still a checkmate, but the nicer one I think when the queen is on e6 without the king, and it's still a checkmate because the rooks are blocking the king. But now this is just actually the rooks are not they are not mattering. They not matter, but just the visual effect. So the queen gives the check, covering f7, and this is important. The king defends the queen. The rooks are blocking their own king. Okay, let's go for the next one. Okay, nice one. This, we know the name of this checkmate, white to move. This is a back rank checkmate. Good motive, important to remember things when your king is still on the starting rank, to make sure you have something you opened up the way to run away, or you can go back with block somehow the checks. This is the check because the queen covers b8 and gives the check also, and the other pieces are blocking its own movement. Let's go for the next one. Wow, okay, the checkmates with the two queens. This is very rare. Sometimes maybe in a time trouble, when you have so little time, the opponent say will not give up, and you need to find the checkmate. And then it's good if you know this one. So white to move, and white gives a checkmate. Okay, the a queen goes to e6. This is a checkmate because the queen covers the e7, f7, f6, d6 squares, and also d7, and the other queen protects. So queens are protecting each other, and c8 queens covers the 8th rank. Okay, let's go for the next one. And white to move, and we have a question. Does it often happen that you see a certain position and you are reminded of past games? Do they help in going forward or finding the right move? Yeah, actually it happens. I don't remember actually past games much, but like some sequence or some positions I feel or remember it similar. So I don't remember, okay, this happened in like game like 20 years ago in this and that. But remembering some similar situations and remember maybe how it was solved in that game, and then I actually at least consider that possibility. Not always that's the right thing, but why it's good to know like certain patterns, because then it's much easier to actually consider, because the first problem which sometimes we have, like we don't even consider the possibilities which we have in life. So if we already know the different options, then there's a better chance we will maybe choose at least a good one, because sometimes what happens, we don't even consider the good one. We just have like, we think, okay, we have only two options, and actually there's maybe like a third one which would be the right one. So it's good to have like the patterns, and then we can choose from the patterns. Ah, ciao Oberfeldherr, nice to see you. Where are you from? So here the checkmate is, what's the checkmate? Unfortunately, I don't speak Italian. Only I can say ciao, ciao bambino. Yeah, it's I think some Attila can be also like an Italian name, but it's, yeah, I am not from Italy. I am from Hungary actually. So let's look the checkmate here, and then we will get some more puzzles. So the checkmate is the A queen goes to E8. Gives the check, covers G6. Also covers F8, G8. Okay. The other queen protects the queen. It's important. Plus covers also E6 and E7. Also the other dark squares F6 and G7 covered by the queen. Yeah, my name is like Attila Turzo. Like it can be like, yeah, I look like there are some people from Italy who have to, yeah, probably my family maybe in the Middle Ages were maybe from Italy also, or I don't know how it came, because it's also like a old Hungarian family. But you know, that time maybe it was like some migration in Europe, so I don't know if it started in Italy or in Hungary, or actually maybe somewhere else. But yeah, others also told me like an Italian name. Actually, I like also Italy. I think I was in Venice, I think, previously. Okay, so let's go for next one. So I load a few new puzzles. 20 more puzzles I want to solve today, and then you can say we solved 150 puzzles together yesterday and today like 100 puzzles. And where do you live in Italy? It looks like, I think your Twitch name is really like more like German, no? Oberfeldherr. What does it mean? But I think it's like, looks very here's like German. Okay, so here we are, another checkmate in one. White to move. Feld means maybe field. And Ober is means like over, maybe over. Maybe overfield, sir. Something like this means in English. Yeah, by the way, if you want to connect with me on social medias, you can find the links here for my chess.com, Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube. Also, if you enjoyed the show, please consider to subscribe. Or you can also send donations by these two links. So the checkmate is queen h to e5. Gives the check, also covering g7, f5, and g5. Actually e6, e7 too, plus the e8 queen covers the defends the e5 queen and covering f7 and g6. This is why it's a checkmate. Ah, Oberfelder is the highest general. Wow, okay, that's a nice name, especially for a chess player. Because actually you are the highest general in the chess game. You are the leader of all the pieces. Okay, next one. White to move, mate in 1. Okay, so this is a checkmate because the rook covers d7, e7, f7, king covers the 6th rank, and the queen covers the 8th rank. Good to remember this motif when they are side by side on a file or on a rank, the two rooks or rook or queen, they cover many squares. Let's go for the next one. Okay, and here we are. When just one bishop and the queen and the king can give the checkmate, white to move. It's especially possible when the king is in the corner or very limited. This gives the checkmate, and because the king covers g8 and g7, and the h7 is blocked by his own pawn. Okay, this is good to remember. This checkmate motif with the two bishops and the king working together. White to move. Bishop f6. Okay, this is the nice checkmate. Bishop is the checkmate, covers g7, also other bishop covers g8, plus the king's defending the h7 bishop. Okay, another typical motif, how to give the checkmate with the two bishops. Usually, to give the checkmate, you need to force the opponent to the corner. His king to the corner, white to move. Okay, the bishop gives the check, plus the other bishop covers the important square, so he cannot run away. And the king also needed to cover the square front of the king. Yeah, g7 is also covered by the bishop, so that's covered twice. Okay, here we look an idea. Actually, usually if you left only with one knight or one bishop, it's not possible to win, but there are some special occasions. This is one of those. when the opponent kind of make a suicide, or at least he's helping you. So white to move and still gives the checkmate, only having left with the knight. Yeah, these are the basic patterns, actually, basic checkmate patterns. So we are going back to the basics, absolutely basic. These are easy ones, but it's good to review them time to time. So I decided yesterday to go again for the Grandmaster title, and I will play for Grandmaster tournaments. But I want to review the most important things from the very, very basics. So knight f7 is a checkmate. Actually, the knight gives the check. King defends the other square, so cannot go out. His own pawn also blocks it. And where do you live in Italy, Oberfeldherr? Okay, here we are. White to move again. Actually, now there are two knights and the king. Usually, also that's another thing. Is like two knights, and the king cannot win. So this is because the cannot be forced to the corner, the king, because they will always stalemate ideas. Only if it's a very special situation when the defender king helps actually the two knights and the king, then it's possible to make a checkmate. Have you ever been in Hungary, in Budapest? So white to move. Okay, this is a check, and actually this is also a checkmate. Check. C-point covers f7, so there's no way out. And the other knight covers the dark squares. And the white king covers the squares on d7 and d8. Okay, another one. Mate in one, white to move. We have a good question. What are the requirements that you need to meet as an IM to be a GM? It requires more than norms, yes? Yeah. Actually, you need to reach at least 2500 in the international rating, FIDE rating, 2500. Plus you need to make like the norms, like, I think like 3 norms, and you need to make at least 1 norm maybe like in an open tournament and 2 norms in a closed tournament, or at least one of them will need to be a closed tournament and one of them need to be an open. I don't know actually the exact rules about this, but you need to make norms plus 2500 rated. And I don't have any norms yet. No norms, unfortunately. But that makes the challenge more interesting. Actually, my rating is I think 2279 if I remember well. So actually I am one of the lowest in the last couple of years, maybe like last, I don't know how many years. Yes, last year I lost like 20 points or 30. So we will see. But this year I started to do every day some chess training myself, and I hope this helps. Okay, 2278, okay. Yes, I think I lost like 1 rating points in the last tournament actually. So white to move here. Okay, this is an important motif, how to give the checkmate with the king and the queen together. Usually you need to force the opponent to the side of the board to be able to give the checkmate. Okay, queen covers those squares, f8, d8. And the king is defending the queen. Okay, another motif. Okay, how you give the checkmate with the rook. Rook and king against the king. Again, you need to force the opponent to the side of the board. White to move. Yeah, actually these patterns you can find in this book. It's called Chess 5334 Problems, Combinations and Games by László Polgár. And you can always, just watch the videos on YouTube, which I put on. I put on also yesterday the first 50, and today I put on the next 100. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's a father of Judith and Susan Polgar and Sophia. There are 3 girls. Their father made that book like 30 years ago, so a long time ago. I met Judith Polgar. I never played her, but I met her. Like when there is like a Polgar chess day actually every year, once, or it go now like World Chess Day or something like that. They are organizing in Hungary, in the National Museum was I think this year, and you can meet her there. So this is a checkmate because it covers d8, gives the check, covers f8, and the king covers the 7th rank, so it cannot go out. This is how you can cover all the 2 files, 2 ranks actually, the 7th and the 8th rank. Okay, next one. This is something similar, yeah. White to move. Now we need to cover like 3 ranks. So the rook covers the 7th rank, giving the check and covering the 7th rank. The king covers the 6th rank, and the other rook covers the 8th rank. And this is a checkmate. Let's move on for the next one. Okay, this is a little similar, but in a different way. So white to move. Okay, rook a3 is the checkmate because it covers e3 and gives the check and covers g3. The 2nd rank covered by the king, and the knights cover the 4th rank. They're working really nice together when they are side by side. Let's move the next one. Okay, another example for the team. Okay, white to move. How do you give the checkmate? So rook h3 check, covering, the 3rd rank, gives the check. 2nd rank covered by the king, and the knight covers these squares on f4 and d4, and their own pawn blocking one more. As you see, we can change this to make still similar with the bishops now. They are working. It's white to move. So the rook gives the check. Cover the 3rd rank, 2nd rank covered by the king, and the bishops are covering the 4th rank. And this is a checkmate. Let's see if there is a little different one. Okay, this is 144. That's a special number, I think, in the Bible. But that's like 144,000. Like the number of the, the humans who go up, I guess, to heaven. But it's also like a symbol, I think, of the man. Like, 144 is together is 9, and I think 9 is many times in the spiritual text the symbol of man. So it's not just a certain number of people, but it's generally also the men who are, purified, will be nice and loving each other. They can go up to a higher dimension or higher level. Okay, so here white to move, and we change, but the same team. Okay, 6 gives the check, covering the 6th rank. King covers the 7th rank. And look, the pawns can cover when they are side by side. Squares like this, the 5th rank. let's go for the next one. Ah, okay, okay, we can change it, still have the same or similar stuff. White to move. How would you checkmate here? Queen b3, that's the way. So it gives the check and covering the third rank, plus it's need to cover now, have to cover the second rank and the fourth rank. Okay, the king has to cover the another 2 squares on the second rank, and the knight's covering the fourth, d4 and d4. Okay, 5 more left for today. Okay, this one. How would you give a checkmate? White to move. White to move and give a checkmate. Okay, so the queen gives the check and the checkmate in the same time. Actually, yeah, this is the only way to go. So it covers all the squares on the third rank. King covers the squares on the second rank, and the knights side by side cover the fourth rank. So there's no way out. Okay, one more. So white to move and mate in 1. Queen b3, this is the way to give the checkmate. Queen covers the third rank, plus c2 and c4. The white king covered the second rank, and the knight the remaining d4 square, and then e4 is blocked by his own pawn. Okay, here we are again. White to move. How would you give the checkmate here? So the checkmate is queen b3, and the queen covering the third rank and giving the check. King covers the second rank, and the knight covers the fourth rank, and the black pawn also helping us to block the black king. Okay, 2 more. So this is the one before the last one. White to move. How would you checkmate the black king? Okay, now the things a little bit changed. Black got 2 pawns, which actually not helping him, but helping us. Queen b3 gives the checkmate. Queen covers the third rank, covers also c2 and c4, and our king covers d2 and e2, and their own its own pawns are blocking him from the escape. Okay, and let's see the last one for today. Okay, white to move and mate in 1. Queen e5, this is a checkmate actually. Yeah, check. It's covering f6, d6, f5, and d5. The pawn defends the queen, that's important. And the 7th rank is covered by the king. Okay, friends, so we saw 100, so that means like 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 90, 100 puzzles today. Hope you enjoy the process. You can always watch this as a video again. So if you want to review these basic patterns, and I hope you enjoyed it and you continue to join me my journey, and hopefully I'm enjoying your journey. So we are helping each other to explore more about chess and more about human life and the possibilities. I wish you a great blessed 2024 and a very nice day, and hope to see you all together come tomorrow. Thank you all the subscriptions, all the other help. Connect with me on the media if you want to, and let's have fun together also another time too. Okay, bye bye for today.